Back on the Exit 52 podcast. It is Friday, December 8th, second pod of the day. We got our Ravens preview out, but some significant news has come through for the Baltimore Orioles for the first time in a couple months. Called a meeting of the five families here. We got the five-man weave going. My name's Jake Luke. I'm joined by Taylor, by Spenny, by Brian, and by Eric. Eric Rubenstein, as the name lists down there on the little box there. If you're watching on YouTube, we got a full house to discuss the massive seismic news in Baltimore Orioles country right now that Craig Kimbrel has signed for 1 year, $13 million. Going to be the closer for 2024. Eric, your thoughts?
I think it's fine. I think it's a perfectly fine move. Like, he's not prime Kimbrel, obviously, but he's going to turn 36 during the season. Sorry, excuse me. He has plenty left in the bank. Strikes out a ton of guys. Doesn't walk that many guys. Fly ball pitcher, so he gives up his fair share of home runs. But hopefully the wall that I think all of you guys are coming around to finally. I think you guys will see that home run number drop. And obviously my mentions were Phillies being, you fucking hate this John. Like he blew the playoffs for us, blah, blah, blah. It's like you look at his numbers. I think he had 2 bad outings, and that obviously, again, not a great time to have a bad outing. But in the NLDS against the Diamondbacks, he wasn't great in 2 of those outings. But during the regular season, he was good. I mean, he's a perfectly fine pitcher. And again, I had some guy coming at me being like, "Well, when he blows a save, I'm going to laugh at your face." And it's like, but buddy, I hate to tell you this, he's going to blow a save. He's going to blow multiple saves. Everybody does. It's baseball. Like it's just how it's going to happen. Like no one is perfect. He's not Gagne. He's not Britton. Like just doesn't happen. He's going to give up home runs. They're going to lose a game because of him. And it's fine. Like get this football mentality out of your head, which like every game is such this do or die thing. But I think he's perfectly capable and fine in the role that he's going to be in. Again, they say he's expected to close. Tommy Hunter was expected to close in 2014 too. We know how that turned out with Britton. And again, we're not hoping for that, for him to be bad and they take him out. But who knows what's going to happen? They may go closer by committee. They could throw Ynier Cano in there. They could throw DL Hall in there. They could throw Tyler Wells in there. CNL Perez. Like they have tons of arms in this bullpen. And I still think they need an arm or two, another one. But I'm fine with the move. Again, it's $13 million or $12 million this year. He's a $13 million team option next year and a $1 million buyout. I think it's a perfectly fine move. He's a great veteran to have. He's been around. All he does is make the playoffs and is on winning teams every single year. Like there were people who were very upset at this. I will be upset if this is the move of the offseason. I will say that. I want it to be a move. I don't want it to be the move. So again, if they keep and the rumor, I mean, you're seeing the Orioles attached to like starting pitching. And it's not from like local guys, it's from national people. So I think something is going to happen eventually, but I'm fine with the move. I'm perfectly okay with Craig Kimbrel. Again, he's going to lose them a game. He's going to blow some saves, but I think he's going to be more good than bad. And I think they could have done a lot worse than adding Craig Kimbrel to their bullpen.
Love the analysis there. Another little quick thing we wanted to hit on, a potential change in ownership on the horizon. Any thoughts on that?
Boy, did RDT not sense your sarcasm there.
No, that was I wasn't expecting the full thing.
Like,
you were talking about Kimbrel, so I was like, all right, we'll do Kimbrel first. That's fine.
Hey, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has those days. Sometimes I'm in a jam.
Yeah.
I've got to make a plan.
Jenna Kramer just not
I do
not
it
that
anyway.
high.
Are we bringing it? We're going to this now. We're burying the lead even further. We're dumping more dirt on the lead.
Mute him. Can we mute him?
Whatever. I don't really get it, guys.
You said nobody's perfect about Craig Kimbrel. That's the name of the song by Hannah Montana. And then you come at me, Eric. How dare you?
Good song, Spenny.
You're getting into Taylor's territory now. We're all over the place.
Okay.
This is wild. This is a wild start. Brian, as a former player, thoughts on this Kimbrel move? Or he's just the kind of guy that's going to be able to bounce back and fight his way through those blown saves, isn't he?
I'm excited about the ownership change. I tell you what, man.
Yeah, okay, we can get into that. Sorry for
No. I mean, I can dish on it. Yeah, it's okay. Is he better than Cano as a closer? I don't know. Who the heck knows? But is it better to have 2 people of that caliber or 1? 2. Our bullpen got better. So stop whining. That's my take.
Stop whining. That is his take. But yes, I was having a little fun there. As
better
Eric,
than Baker. So
hopefully, yeah.
Jacob Webb, Keegan Aiken. That's the thing. It's like I tweeted that yesterday. Both better than it was 2 days ago. Yes. That's all you need to worry about. That's literally all you need to worry about. So
Eric got a little bit of a John Rahm Fox News-esque connection going on with some of this. So some of that's getting lost in the wash, but it's okay. But yeah, I mean, ownership change. I want to throw it to the guy in the top right corner here, if you're watching on YouTube, who had this scoop over a year ago, and I know is ready to dance in the end zone a little bit. Spenny, what are you thinking?
I mean, I just had somebody contact me before we joined Exit 52, and they gave me so much information. And I was just able to deduce a certain family that it was from, not the Angelos, but another notorious Greek Baltimore family. For those who know what that
not
means.
the Minidakis family.
No. Not. Certainly not.
Or the Laricos family.
Almost. Close.
Oh, wow. Okay. We're getting somewhere then.
There you go. But somebody came in and it was just randomly gave me so much out of nowhere. And I was like, I don't cover the Orioles really, but that's interesting. I'll put it out there. And then there was a rumor. So what happened, I think on 11/17, this November, one of my buddies' cousins works pretty high up in the Orioles box office and stuff. Buddy's cousin. They actually shared. Well, actually, I'm not going to say it. Buddy's cousin. Buddy cousin.
This is the ultimate, by the way. This is the ultimate, like when you say, like you have a source, and then oh yeah, my source is my dad's friend who works at EA, and he can get me Madden early. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting right now. But just to be clear, I believe you. That's just the vibe.
He just texted us and was like, "Oh my god, we just sold to the Carlyle group," and we're like, "What?" And then we deduced that he ended up getting it, I think, off a message board or someone or something. But then the person that told me last year came back and was like, "Yeah, this seems like it's pretty legit." And what I ended up getting today on it was that it had to be disclosed because it has reached a point where it had to legally be disclosed to the minority owners who do hold first right of refusal on the sale, and to the MLB as well. So in its infancy, what I was told specifically that I'm allowed to say on it from this person was that it is fluid, it's in the early stages, and it's serious enough that it had to be disclosed, but it's still in the early stages. And it just coincided with everything they had told me before. So I was like, okay, all right, you didn't burn me here. And yeah, we're going to be eating corned beef in celebration of my fellow chosen Rubenstein, hopefully taking over the Baltimore Orioles, someone who has wanted to get into baseball ownership for a long time, floated around about the Nationals. There are some rumors matriculating that he is wealthy enough to not need a group of investors, and that his plan specifically is that he could maybe buy the Orioles and not need a group, so to speak. And the Orioles are not the most valuable franchise in baseball. So I think that makes if that's his idea, that he wants to come in, do it his way, not have a board, and be able to do it the way he wants to do it, then the Orioles are probably a prime candidate for it, for a team that's state government is in and ready to dish out some dollars and build up the greater Camden area around Utah Street, which is what Orioles fans have wanted. I mean, our entire lives. We wanted this our entire lives, for a change of ownership. And it's pretty funny to me, and I'll pass it off after this, but I just think it's hysterical. I've always, in my mind, just handshaked in my mind between the Angelos family and Dan Snyder. Yeah. And for both of them to get out of this area and who knows what's going to happen. It's not final yet, but for them to both get out of this area that quickly and hopefully pass hands onto more professional, less involved people or groups or whatever you want to call it, would just be a godsend for so many fans. Obviously we tilt towards Ravens, but Washington, Baltimore, getting rid of those two and washing their hands of them and being on the up and up would be fantastic for so many people. And it's a great day to hear that news getting broken fully and legitimized.
Yeah, pushed through onto Bloomberg today. Kind of, I mean, quietly, it just sort of came out, a short blog by Gillian Tan, 1:57 Eastern, headlined, Carlyle's Rubenstein is in talks to acquire Baltimore Orioles. Carlyle Group Incorporated co-founder David Rubenstein is in talks to acquire Major League Baseball's Baltimore Orioles, according to people with knowledge of the matter. Rubenstein is among suitors pursuing a transaction, said one of the people, all of whom requested anonymity, discussing confidential information. Nothing has been finalized, and talks may still fall apart, the people said. And then they have a footnote, or I guess kind of a note on the lead that said his net worth $4.6 billion. He's a Baltimore native, Taylor, a Duke guy. Thoughts on all of this?
Well, it's interesting that the Rubenstein family has rebounded since the failure of Medellin. That's
Yeah,
really
I mean, that was the first thing I was thinking of. You got to think Nicky's going to get in there, and he's going to be the next John Angelos potentially.
Yeah, so that could be very interesting to see how he's related. No, I mean, I think Spenny summed it up pretty well. I mean, there has always been the want from the majority, I would say, of fans for the ownership to change hands, just based on, at least in recent years, there obviously is a time when Peter Angelos and the Angelos family initially purchased the team where there was a huge investment in player contracts, the 90s being the prime example of that. Those playoff teams had huge payrolls. And then since then, they've gone about it a different way, and there's been a lot of lean years. So I think most would say that a seemingly wealthier ownership group that maybe has more ambition for the club on the field, and then with the areas surrounding Camden Yards and things like that, is obviously a positive. It's never new ownership is always great until it's not. Like, it's always the promise of something great until it isn't. So you hope that, it doesn't go that direction. But it's pretty fascinating. I mean, this obviously surrounds all of the consternation over the past few weeks about, and really heated up this week at the winter meetings about the lease of Camden Yards and potentially them going month by month and things like that. After clearly what happened at Camden Yards with Westmore and John Angelos was totally performative. And it even seemed performative in the moment to announce that way and then not sign something. But I think that Spenny takes a call.
What is going on here? Is this like
He's on the phone for like a minute?
And look, I have no knowledge, so I'm just claiming that's. But it's just bizarre that happened, and then now they're down this way. So clearly there's some give and take, and there's not a million threads of information out there, so we're all doing a bunch of speculation here. But it's definitely fascinating that it's now reached this point, because we've never really gotten to this point, even with the idea that over the past decade, the Angelos family, considering how it seemed they felt about running the team, just based on the overall actions and the fact that, Peter Angelos' declining health and the feud, it felt like it made sense to them to get this out of their family, sell it. There's no better time to sell a professional sports team right now. I mean, even an Orioles team that, it's a nice stadium, it's in a small market, the TV thing's not huge. There's no better time. Franchise values are at an all-time high everywhere. You see what NBA teams go for right now, even Major League Baseball, which, there's maybe no better time to get out of now because of what's going on with the TV rights, and the Orioles own their network. So it's probably just going to continue to decline in value, not increase theoretically. So it just felt like this has been coming, and there's never really been any concrete information announced here. And that's exciting for fans. I don't know really much about David Rubenstein, Baltimore native, as you said. It's private equity, so certainly oodles of cash involved with that. And I don't think – and what's honestly exciting on the field, if this actually goes through, and there's tons of moving parts with, ownership. So it's not as this guy's going to buy the team overnight. But what they've set up now in the baseball operations and how much we've praised it and what they've done to get someone willing to infuse cash into free agencies, if you can get that person, you're golden. I mean, they have all of the infrastructure set to win right now without really any investment into free agents. If you got someone to buy the team and just continue to let Mike Elias do his job and say, hey, Mike, now it's time to, re-sign the young guys long-term. Now it's time to go out and get that free agent pitcher maybe you didn't have the money for. I mean, now you're cooking. So it's fascinating. And the stadium thing makes it even more fascinating. And we could go on about that for a long time, but yeah, I mean, it was, as you said, Jake, very casually dropped. And very interesting considering all of the players are in Nashville right now at the winter meetings, a hotel where the Maryland Terrapins will be in a few weeks, but that I digress. So it's very, it's fascinating stuff. And honestly, the other thing that's nice, Baltimore native means you take away some of those concerns about buying a team that doesn't have a long-term lease locked in and then moving that team away. I think that is if this was Josh Harris buying this team here, like he just bought the Commanders, not moving the Commanders, obviously, you'd be like, oh no, like,
Yeah.
where's this team going potentially?
Yeah, and that's kind of like that's one of the comparisons to make, obviously, is Josh Harris. And like that's you mentioned all the reasons why it could be different because he takes over and the Snyder era. I mean, that was more disastrous than anything with the Angeloses. I know we complain a lot and it has been a tough run, but Dan Snyder, I think that guy is in a league of his own as far as bad owners go. And Josh Harris, he takes over with this 5th-round pick and Sam Howell, who's looked plucky at quarterback, but they weren't ever going to really do anything this year. That's kind of bearing out now. It's much more of a long-term thing. This team is built to win right now. And if you start infusing some cash into the payroll and sort of make some improvements on the diamond, kind of between the lines, like that's all it's really going to take. And all that's going to take is money. So that's an interesting part of it. And the private equity thing you mentioned, but the fact that he has roots in the area, that's very much encouraging because you can see it at times. And when I think private equity, the hairs on the back of my neck stand up sometimes. And, you think of barbarians at the gate and like all the like different, kind of examples throughout history of that being a bad thing. One of which being another comparison you could make, which would be David Tepper, who walked into Carolina and is burning the Panthers to the ground right now. But I guess we'll have to see and hear from David Rubenstein if something does happen to see if he would compare to a David Tepper, who seems like he thinks he's the smartest guy in every room that he walks into. And, well, that he should in some respects because of his business acumen. But it's not always a one-to-one translation. But overall, I mean, if it does work out like we hope it does, and he comes in and he just lets Elias work and gives him the requisite, money to go out and spend on some groceries, that's obviously the best case scenario. And at this point, I think everyone's just ready for a change no matter what. And they're willing to roll the dice and see if that is ultimately how it's going to work out. And it certainly does excite me a lot. Brian, I know I've had a little fun with you there to begin with, but if you want to expand a little bit on your thoughts, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, my first thought is part of what Taylor said there. It's we go from having a championship window here that we're already at the front end of, but you kind of look further out and it's like we've really got 4 or 5 years here where we're trying to make all the pieces fit while the guys are young and affordable enough. You start to be able to re-sign those guys and go out and get the complementary pieces, and it's like you start thinking about the D word, and we haven't even won one, let alone gotten to World Series or anything here, but you start thinking real big ideas there. So it's really hard to wrap your head around because we're just so accustomed to just not doing anything whatsoever to supplement. I mean, it's just been terrible. And I think Spenny kind of said, hey, you want to get somebody here who's not involved per se. I invite David Rubenstein to get involved. Get very involved, please. Like, no, don't meddle, but get that cash in there and give it to Elias and let's get rolling here, baby. Like, it's all there in front of us. The runway's there. Pay our guys, lock them up long term, and let's feast.
Yeah, you're not having to like tear down a FedEx Field and restart, right? You've got the best ballpark in MLB, arguably. You're good there. Got a lot of good partnerships with people in the area. I mean, the naming rights to the stadium are still kind of just out there. I mean, like, who knows if somebody would come in and infuse cash that way. A lot of different aspects, but I mean, Spenny, we were talking in the group chat as you rejoined here. You had to do a little Adam Schefter take a call and duck out of the studio there. But I'll throw it to Eric on this one, but it almost kind of felt like a piece on the chessboard moving there, going back to it leaking through Bloomberg, because we talked a little bit in the chat about all the cash infusions that Angelos has kind of been demanding from the state a little bit here, and all the weirdness that goes on with them announcing the lease agreement prematurely. And now all of a sudden it's not even a lead pipe lock at this point. We're approaching this self-imposed deadline, which who knows what's going to happen. But as of right now, they won't be tenants in a month in Camden Yards. And is this Rubenstein's camp saying like, hey, we're going to leak this through Bloomberg and you're going to stop driving this price up on it and we're going to come in and make our purchase? Eric, are you kind of conspiratorial in that regard and how you're looking at all of this? Or are you just kind of like still processing everything?
Kind of still processing it, but that makes a lot of sense, where again, maybe these talks have been going on, and I'm sure they have, for like months and months and months. And it may have gotten to a point where Rubenstein is like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm not messing with this. If this guy wants to keep doing this, I'll just go. I'll just take it myself. Like, we got it from here, little man, we got it. And just went to Bloomberg. And like you were saying, how it just kind of dropped out of thin air today. I'm on the phone at work and I get a text. I get a tweet first, and it's like, "What do you know about this?" And I look at it, and then I look at my phone, and our friend of the program is texting me and said, "Did you see this?" And so I was like, "Wait, what have I missed in the last 3 minutes since I last updated Twitter?" So again, it just out of nowhere came, and again, the full article and dropped, and people started going nuts. And when I must have gotten between texts and DMs like 10 or 12 being like, "Is this real? Is this legitimate?" And my first thought was like, this isn't through Deadspin. This isn't through like the Howard County Times. Barstool. Yeah. Like this is like Bloomberg. I mean, it's about it. It's as legit as it gets. Like I was like, this has to be like, we have to be decently far along in this process where it's like, hey, we feel okay publishing this, and the information we have is very accurate, and this, we're just gonna put it out. So I mean, I'm about as pumped as anyone. Again, it's like I've also like I sent that tweet out being like, guys, we're having fun on Twitter right now, but like we also need to pump the brakes because you're dealing with the Angeloses, and God knows, what they could do, or I don't know. But I was like, we're having fun, but let's kind of pump the brakes, and if this thing is really going, then we'll go in a little bit. But just because, again, you just don't know what's going to happen. It's two lawyers arguing, and who knows. But I'm very excited at the thought of it. Like you said, that fresh blood kind of getting in here. Again, a guy from Baltimore was in Bethesda. I'm perfectly okay with overlooking everything Duke for right now. Like I have no problems doing that. Put my Duke bias aside. I welcome it. And Brian, I'm with you. Like, and Spenny, you weren't here for it, but Brian talked about how you said, you don't really want an owner to what you said, metal, Brian? Was that the word?
Yeah, I think
like
Spencer kind of suggested, like, okay,
he said metal as hell. He thinks this
like,
whole thing is metal as hell, is what he was saying.
Yeah, it's fucking right on, brother. No, just get involved. Be very involved. I mean, not metal level, but like, just get involved.
Taylor, I know you.
Maybe.
I know you.
That textbook.
Taylor had some concerns with the Bloomberg report because of the tangential associations with our guy Mini Mike. Any comment?
The only thing I was going to say actually about Bloomberg, it's funny you pointed me there, is this guy has 2 shows on Bloomberg, David Rubenstein.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like the dots are pretty easy to connect in terms of where he or his camp would drop a story. I mean, those are the easiest dots that have ever been connected. Which I think obviously points back to a thought that it's like, all right, we need to get this out in the public in some sort of negotiation fashion, which is pretty fascinating. To then try to like parse through why that would be, whether it's like what you said, Jake, where he's trying to jack the price on the Angelos side is trying to jack the price up, and it's like, well, here it is. Now there's public pressure. Now this is out there, and now.
And I do want to. Sorry to cut you off. I do want to double click on that and through Spenny, because he's our resident kind of tinfoil hat wearing guy. What do you think about like the whole driving up the pressure theory?
I don't think that's it. I think they legally had to disclose the point that they've gotten to. So I don't think that's it. And this is the tinfoil hat part. The first time I heard Carlyle Group was because on a Mets private message board, someone said they had heard, this was what had happened on 11/17 this year when everything started, spinning last month, was that it was the Carlyle Group and that the Angelos family, the sons, have wanted to sell for a long time. The other part that we know is that when Peter does pass, the inheritance tax is going to hammer the Angelos family, and they can get more debt. They can acquire more debt. They can create more cash. They have plenty of vehicles to do so. It just feels like those guys have been trying to prop this up with duct tape and stilts as cheaply as possible for as long as possible. And this is the perfect storm. They have Gunnar Henderson. They have Adley Rutschman. The team just won the AL East. They just won 100 games. They just secured a minimum of $600 million from the state of Maryland for renovations. They have a governor who's bought in. This is the time to sell. And if that's true and they want to sell, it's not going to get better than this. So I think that the one part of it that's interesting is that the quote unquote lease agreement, it was what was the correct term for what they did at the what is it?
It was like a framework the
framework. They've agreed upon a framework for an agreement. I think that's an Angelos masterclass. I think he got him and the state of Maryland, basically, to go hold hands at an Orioles game and say, "Yay, everybody, it's over." And then I felt like an idiot. I feel like an idiot in that part because there were the people, there were the Orioles fans, there were the talking heads that were like, that doesn't mean shit. And lo and behold, they were right. It doesn't mean a thing. It was word salad. It wasn't a lease agreement. It was they've agreed on the framework. All right, like Eric and I can agree on the framework to go to Delia Foley's tomorrow night, but we might not actually fucking go.
To make a comparison, the PGA Tour and the Public Investment Fund had a framework agreement 6 months ago at this point, and it's still
exactly.
Here, you know what it is? It's a memorandum of understanding, an MOU. That's what it is. And again,
of understanding upon the framework upon which for the two could have a lease agreement in place. So I think that Peter Angelos has been a shrewd tactician in maximizing the funds that he is going to secure from the state of Maryland. And I would wager that Rubenstein and the Carlyle group and his group and whoever else, whatever group is involved or solo or not, I bet that pays out. I bet those talks are the more funding you get from the state, the less I have to pay. That has to help Peter Angelos and the Angelos family in the sale price in some capacity. The more that is not a part of that, the more that Angelos probably gets. Probably pays like $2 for every $3 he gets from the state or something like that. So, that's me reading a little too deep maybe, but I would imagine that this is almost a third-party negotiation from Rubenstein through Angelos to the state if it's gotten this far where they had to disclose things. And if the person who told me that stuff, everything they've said is right, a group of local investors. That's where he's from. He's from Baltimore. He's a local investor, all those things. So if everything he's told me is true, they had to disclose it at this point. It has gotten that serious. And, this is what happened with the Commanders down the street earlier this year. It's not the exact same thing, but it's relatively similar. And Josh Harris put in his bid, and I have friends that are, pessimistic, lifelong Commanders, Washington fans, whatever. And they're like, well, that doesn't mean anything. I bet it's going to fall through. And PFT did the whole thing of like, oh my God, is it going to fall through? So I feel like there's a really solid shot, especially because it's the perfect storm that it is simply Angelos squeezing as much juice as he can today, now from the state for basically more of a memorandum of an agreement of a framework on selling the team. And that was all a bunch of word salad. And I bet Westmore and the state of Maryland feel like, you son of a gun, you freaking snake oil salesman. They probably see everything through now, and maybe they knew, maybe they didn't, whatever. But honestly, if I'm ever going to commend Angelos on one thing, I think he's driving a shrewd negotiation right now with the state of Maryland. I think he's got them up against the wall. I think they're probably like, oh my God, this new guy's coming in. How much control are we going to lose? We want to be involved with this. Is this going to be more difficult? Is this going to be less? So I imagine they would like to button something up. And I think Angelos can probably get to a let's get this done number from the state of Maryland. 600 was supposed to be the number. Maybe it's 750, maybe whatever it is. But I think the state of Maryland, the Congress, everything is like, we got to get this done. Like, public perception is bad. This is becoming a social issue that is pissing off a lot of Marylanders. We need to have a get it done number.
Yeah. And another not one-to-one comparison, but 40 years ago, we had a football team here, and the state and specifically the city government really just drove a hard bargain, first against Rosenblum and then against Irsay. And Irsay was not easy to deal with. And I know that was probably going to blow up in their face either way, but they just would not renovate the stadium. They would not give him a new stadium. And ultimately he just washed his hands of it and he left. And that would not happen in this situation regardless, I don't think. But I think, things just get passed down through generations, and you can't afford to lose a public trust like this. So I don't know. That's about 30 minutes we got there on 2 paragraphs written on Bloomberg this morning. Not a whole lot of information to deal with, but I think we gave some good takes going through it all. Any final thoughts from anyone on all this?
I just, the whole thing with the lease about the people being like, oh my God, 1231, they're not going anywhere. That's what I think, like, people do need to understand that. Like, it's not like on January 1st, the Orioles are going to be like out looking at baseball fields with a for sale sign.
Well, they're going to move into your house, right? That's what you said.
I offered it. I said they can stay here if they want. That's fine. We got room. It's fine. But like, that's the thing. It's like, they're going to be in Baltimore. They're not going anywhere. Like I said, they're going to do this little like month by month thing. Then they're going to finally come to an agreement. And it's going to be Wes Moore and John Angelos like jerking each other off, being like, we knew we were going to get it. We were, they're going to do the press conferences with the guns and drugs on the table, shaking hands, smiling, being like, we always knew we were going to do this. And so it's like people are going to freak out and there's nothing to freak out about. Like, obviously there are things moving behind the scenes that obviously we now know some of them. But again, it's just like, so don't freak out on December 31st on New Year's Eve. Like when they're like, oh, they're not going to come to an agreement tonight, blah, blah, blah. Because people are going to go nuts and they're going to say like, there we go. There's the Orioles. They're going to move, like going down to Nashville. So that thing, back to real quick, back to the getting the owner involved. I'm with you, Brian. Like, I want my guy. What's the Mets owner's name? Why can't I think of his name? Cohen.
Uncle Steve.
Inspiration for Bobby Axelrod on Billions.
I want Uncle David on a flight to Japan, like Uncle Stevie was, to meet with with Yamamoto. That's what I want. Like that's the stuff where I want my owner to get involved. Not John Angelos sitting down at Saratoga Springs or Nashville or whatever, like kicking his size 5 feet up. Damn. Like get involved like that, and again, just mix it up. So I'm with you there, Brian. I wanted them to get involved. And then, damn it, did I have one?
Eric, you're just ready to unload everything in the chamber now that you think
you were unloading the clip.
Empty the gat on us. Let us feel it.
I said it was a tough week for people who said that I was on the Angelos payroll. We'll say that.
Well, I think we all know that. I'm not even going down that road.
The only thing I was going to add to end and to expand off Spenny's point in terms of how this is now being negotiated. Like historically, when you watch these things happen, ownership always has so much leverage over whatever town or state or city that they are negotiating against, because no one wants the team to move. And so you always are coming from a position of power. And John Angelos feels like he just is continuing to consolidate that negotiating power with kind of how he's played it. So to also go to what your point, RDT, was, it would be shocking if this team obviously moved in any way or wasn't playing in Camden Yards. So you're like, that's happening. It's just a question of how much can the Angelos family is going to come out, no matter what happens, in a position of strength. Either they're going to, this team's going to sell for, it's valued at like 1.6, which means it'll probably sell for like 2.3 or 2.4 billion. So you're either getting that, or you're keeping the team and you're probably going to get a super, beneficial lease agreement or whatever it may be, just because you have the position of power. The team always does, because no mayor and no governor or whatever wants to deal with a beloved team getting moved.
How big of a joke would it be if Wes Moore's legacy as governor is immediately in the gutter if he just did this whole framework thing and has made so many promises about building up that area, and for that to fall, it's virtually impossible.
And at least at this point, it's not as if like the Orioles are asking for a new stadium to build with like giant amounts of taxpayer money. It's not like one of those situations where you can win the public relations battle.
They're trying to build up a major kind of sore spot.
Yeah. And the Ravens are also getting a bunch of state money. So it's like, it's already sort of happening. And it's just
the Ravens have accepted it all right off the bat. And then, like, if you're a mayor or a stakeholder dealing with all of this, it's like, hey man, whatever we got to do to like stop having to deal with John Angelos on this and just wash our hands of it, we'll help you do that. We'll take the hit right
fascinating.
Now. Like,
and I'm fascinated to see how much of it continues to come out publicly. Like this kind of dropping, it's now going to be interesting to see like what are these sort of like place stories and information that's given, because that's what that was today. Obviously, Spenny's probably right. They like had to put it out, but when it was dropped, where it's dropped, like all this stuff is very tactical. So I'm interested to see now how that continues to drip out.
When's the next big holiday that Angelos can hold a press conference on so that he can't answer questions about it? Like he's gonna do something on like Christmas.
Yeah, Christmas,
Hanukkah.
Yeah, it's Hanukkah right now.
Jesus, right? Yeah, shalom, brothers. But what if Angelos sold and then went and bought the Nats? How great would that be?
That would be what a twist of fate that would be.
I would love that. That'd be so
fantastic. Can you imagine?
Oh Lord, Brian.
I have nothing but respect for him for the rest of my life.
Yeah, like if he's like, well, you know what? Actually, I do want to own a baseball team, and he's like, come on over, Nats.
Thanks. Final thoughts.
The Pats just marched right down the field on the Steelers.
I can't
believe I'm missing that. God damn.
Yeah. Pittsburgh has sticks in the house tonight.
Oh, really? Good for them.
Yeah.
I
How
love
many
that song.
times
I
they're gonna
freaking love that song.
double, triple, quadruple renegade tonight.
Yeah.
Ooh, a live renegade. Is live better than double?
I don't know.
Will they play it while play is going on like they do in the fourth quarter? They're just gonna like wheel the band out to the middle of the field, and the Patriots will be trying to drive, and they're like, get out of the way, Sticks.
Belichick
don't
will
know.
like have his like beanie half on his head, like waving him off the field. Like
Doing the
this.
scowl, like grabbing
Get him
him
out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, little birdie told me New Year's Eve, Ravens, Dolphins. Ray, legend of the game. He's going to be in the building.
Breaking news. I will not be in the building. Got a wedding that night.
Hate that for you.
You guys are handling that. Hopefully,
I just want to say I'm the fucking king. This is my second hammer that has hit in the first drive of a game in a row.
We were talking about this.
Christian Kirk played one series and hit my hammer. Juju Smith-Schuster, one series, already hit. I'm the fucking king.
By the way, did you see Steve Smith doing the sideline today?
Yeah.
With the Ravens gloves on?
He's unbelievable.
That's great. That's hilarious.
Love that.
Very funny. Very funny.
Did we Ring of Honor?
Smith?
I like it.
No. Yeah.
I could see that.
I like it.
He's a vibe. He's a
They didn't have
vibe.
Anquan in the Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
Some team is going to perfect the like ring of people we just like. Somebody should just do that. Like above your Ring of Honor, just like a bunch of people just like, like
Ring of Honor.
That guy was just, yeah.
Ernest Biner, a fine human being and obviously great, but
Sure.
he is always the example of like Ernest fucking Biner's in there. What are we doing? Let's get Anquan Bolden in there. Let's get Steve Smith in there if we want to. I'm fine with it. It doesn't mean anything. Just get these guys, appreciate these guys while they're still around. You know, you got to do that. All right. Any last thoughts on this before we move into segments?
I will add one more thing about Kimbrel because we touched on it very briefly. I want to just agree with RDT and Banks when they say, like, why is anybody upset about this?
I mean, they spent more for him than they did.
They have a 1-year deal. They have no payroll. It doesn't impact their ability to do literally anything with any other player in the league. Like, why are you mad? He's good.
Yeah,
they signed a good player.
Yeah, and that's what they spent on Kyle.
I just don't understand. I don't understand this. I don't understand why people are so miserable.
Yeah,
Stop being miserable. Stop being miserable.
Felix Bautista is not a factor. Like they had to do something, so they got an experienced closer. Even if he has a fucking 5 ERA, whatever, they got an experienced closer.
By the way, Eric, I heard you throw the John in there in your initial analysis of all this. You're gonna hate this John.
Yeah, but no, again, like you're human beings, but they had to do the move, and it was either Kimbrel or it was Aroldis Chapman, probably. You know, again, is that a thing that we want to go down? Is that a road that we want to go down? Like,
no, I like Kimbrel. I like Kimbrel already, vibes wise. He's sitting there. He's got the Orioles hat on. He's got the stuff on his bookcase, the Orioles stuff.
The graphic that he tweeted out was electric.
Awful. Yeah. That was the worst graphic of all time.
It's great.
An orange hat with the Phillies patch on the side.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You gotta get someone to do this.
He's the I-95 king. He's blazing his way down I-95. But all right, I guess that's all we got.
All he does is play on good teams. Like, why do you not want it?
We know him well here. Listen, we all know him very well from his time in Boston. And you know what? You're right, Taylor. Don't freak out. It's just not a needle mover one way or the other. But okay, that's it. That is it on our Orioles talk, running on the 40-minute mark here. Taylor, I'm going to turn it over to you. You want to run us through some segments? What do we got tonight?
Sure. Let's do Nick Cater medley. Let's do a 5-person Nick Cater medley Maryland person of the week.
Okay.
Who do you want to start with? Banks. Let's see if you've got somebody ready down there.
Why you gotta? I knew you.
I will go.
It's becoming a bit. No, it's becoming a bit. To give it to you when you clearly have no idea who you're going to say is becoming a bit. RDT, go ahead.
You're picking on the kid who doesn't know how to read in class. That you're popcorning.
I was that
kid. Read in class.
I was that kid, so I can relate to that. RDT, go ahead.
I'm giving mine to, and I don't think we talked about it last week, and it's kind of a niche thing, but surviving Barstool has been fantastic. I know me, Jake, and Spenny have been blowing up the group chat, ruining probably numerous episodes for Taylor and Brian.
Yeah, I don't talk to you guys anymore.
I haven't even. Yeah, I when I'm getting texts every like 5 seconds in that group chat, I just don't even look at it because I know exactly.
Well, Brian actually sent me a screenshot of his checking account. It was like $8 in there, so he actually can't afford to tap in.
It's too short to buy it. Yeah. It's been so good.
My Venmo's open for the record.
I don't a Survivor guy. I watched like whatever episode or whatever season. What's her name now? She's married to Tim Hasselbeck's brother. I watched when she was on because she was hot. Like this was like 2002. But
Right.
so I don't watch a show at all. But
Elizabeth
Surviving
Hasselbeck?
Barstool, yeah. What was her name before though? I mean, she wasn't obviously
I don't know.
Hasselbeck.
They usually only say first names, and then maybe you'll get a last name if they're like an iconic player.
Yeah.
I am a Survivor guy, so or at least I was. I watched
Destiny's Child song or the show?
Both actually. Actually, those are bangers, and then also Soul Survivor, Akon and Young Jeezy. Another
Sure.
little bit
Oh,
different.
that song. Yeah.
Yeah, big Survivor guy. I remember watching the first season actually with Richard Hatch with my parents, and then just kind of grew up with it through the 2000s. Russell Hanson icon, JT an icon, and yeah, I definitely fell away from it like over the course of the 2010s and stuff. And I hear it's not very good now, but they are kind of capturing that soul of what makes it great, and it's got that little Barstool twist on it where it's really funny. A lot of wild cards in there. Bosco and all the key characters. Jerry is this guy on Pluto.
This guy on Pluto? I can't stop saying that. I can't.
I can't watch. I can't stop watching the Quigs, the Spanish edit of that.
Yo soy Jerry. Yo soy Jerry. It's so good.
That was
But
so
again, if you're not gonna watch it again, I think it comes on like a week after next Wednesday. I think they're all on there. 100% worth the watch. They're like an hour. I think the first one's like an hour and a half long. I'll probably rewatch it. It's just so good. It's so good. And
yep, sounds like they got plans to keep it running, expand it too. So it's good. I said they got to
text.
They got to do a satellite blogger season and get you two clowns in there.
I was gonna say, I was like, I got a text from someone saying that Banks and I should. I couldn't remember who it was.
Yeah, I wonder who that was. Yeah.
So thank you, sir, for that. But very, very good. If you're not watching it, I highly recommend watching it.
The first challenge I would have loved to be a part of.
Yeah, they're
fun to do somewhere.
Sure. Who's next?
Jake, Nick Cantor Medley.
I'm gonna go a little off the beaten path. I got to go with Fargo season 5 on FX right now. Show that they kind of missed in season 4, but like seasons 1 and 2 and even 3 to an extent, some of the best TV I've ever seen. And it's just like quietly chugged away on FX and Hulu and all that. Back for season 5, it's got John Hamm, it's got Juno Temple from Ted Lasso, got Joe Keery from Stranger Things, and it's just a really, really interesting show that's just kind of quietly been very good for like a decade. And they always take like 3 years in between seasons, so it just quietly chugs along, and it's back for a very good season. So that's on Hulu right now if you want to watch it, airing on Tuesday nights on FX. So check it out; it's good.
There you go. I've never seen an episode.
It's good. Each season is its own story, so you can kind of
okay. So you don't have to. You can just like pick and choose.
I'd recommend watching all of it, but yeah, if you just want to jump in season 5, you can.
Spenny.
One David Rubenstein on Hanukkah.
Someone had to do it. Yeah, I'm surprised his son.
Giving us a little off-season flavor. Everybody's complaining about Craig Kimbrel. Doesn't even fucking matter because we got the giant corned beef himself, the big pastrami with 293 billion in global assets managed, coming down on Hanukkah like a little fairy dreidel, just to give a nice blessing so that we can see the Orioles take it to the next level.
Maybe he can buy Banks the surviving Barstool on demand.
That'd be great. Yeah.
I forgot. Speaking of him buying stuff, he bought the fucking Magna Carta. Like he bought the Magna Carta. Did you see that?
That was for sale.
Yeah, it's not.
His
philanthropy.
The philanthropy section on his Wikipedia is like 1,000 words long.
It's like
Who's
80,
guy,
you know what?
Arlen Crow, that conservative guy that like buys all the old Civil War and like Nazi stuff. Not to take it down.
This was a cool.
We went down that road a little bit pre-show.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah. We don't need to double click on that, but yeah, it was discussed.
Eric, I can just see the wheels turning. Like you're so excited to spend the next 3 days just learning everything you can about David Rubenstein. Like he is the pharaoh. He is the pharaoh of your world right now.
You're doing a full
podcast.
Yeah. You're doing the full podcast on him. We're doing a deep dive on David Rubenstein, all of these global assets, that 4.16 that he's got sitting in his PNC checking account. We're doing that.
We can do that. But real quick too, I should have said this earlier. I got a DM. I don't want to out the guy. And he said this. He said, so we're talking about Rubenstein. Rubenstein?
I'll defer to you and Spenny on that.
Up to you, man.
He said my kids spend a lot of time at Hopkins Children's Center, and Rubenstein's name is all over that place. I also work in the investment world, and I've never heard a bad word about David, and that's saying something. I thought that was pretty cool.
Tough world to not have bad words said about you. That's for sure.
Really. That's
and again, I mean, like, you know, maybe anonymous donations to the wing of the Hopkins Children's Center. It's just, it seems like he's it's almost like he's the anti-Angelos.
Hopefully it's not a Ted Danson situation where he does donate it anonymously and then he goes around and telling everyone that he did.
Maybe.
I'm
gonna do some reconnaissance around my circles to see what I can learn about Mr. Rubenstein. I'm sure
I gotta think you've got the 6 degrees of separation between you and Rubenstein, Taylor.
It's pretty close.
As if Taylor would tell us what happens in those conversations.
Well, that's the problem. I simply can't discuss that, but I'm gonna do it for my own self, just not for anybody.
Just sitting in the Delta Lounge, just scrolling through the Bloomberg reports.
When I head to the private jet wing of BWI, I'll see what we can find.
Yeah, just some fact finding stuff. Don't go too crazy.
Yeah,
Spenny, we can call him the Big Latka.
Well, half of you can, right?
Well, Spenny and I together, I think, make one Jew.
He's the big pastrami.
1.5, isn't it?
He's the big pastrami.
Yeah, you're half.
I'm a half.
You're half too. Okay, I thought you were full.
Yeah, so us together make one Jew.
Okay, fair enough. Hey, listen,
them together, what a fine looking Jew.
It's not for me to say. That's up to you guys.
Yeah, I'm gonna make no judgment there. Happy Hanukkah to both of you.
Thank you, Taylor. I appreciate that.
Let me be the first.
A Maryland University graduate, much better than a Harvard or a Penn or a
University of Maryland, but you know.
Yeah. You say Maryland University? Did you say that?
University.
Any Tate just say that?
Oh, that's the big fuck up. Oh.
By the way, what you said is correct. What a tough week for those people. I mean, Jesus.
Fucking losers.
Not sure we need to go down that. Banks.
That's the Patreon.
Yeah. We're going with the bye week. The bye week win. I'm sure Spenny and Jake have covered it ad nauseum this week, but what a NFL Sunday and Monday for the Baltimore Ravens, just kind of sitting at home and watching ball and watching all the chips kind of fall in their favor. So the runway's all in front of them to do some special stuff here, December, early January. Gosh, I've been playing with the New York Times. That should actually be my pick. Maybe it is. New York Times playoff predictor. You click around the buttons, you get the percentages going. It's one of my favorite things to do every December. I like our picture right now. Past couple of years, it's been a little bit of a dire, hopeful, like, here are all the pieces and here's how it could work, where things could fall in our favor. Let's hope for the best. Here, it's like, here's all the fun things that can happen.
I mean, Eric, not a big fan of the New York Times from what he's had in the group chat the last couple of years.
I was gonna say, I hope your boy DJT doesn't hear you talking like that, Banks.
Yeah, that's things are.
Did you see the golf cart video with him?
Unbelievable.
Oh, and then the one when he was like looking at his iPad at the dinner table and like people were like photoshopping.
Oh, someone was like, "I gotta see his Spotify Wrapped." I gotta see it. What did he say? Did he come out?
RDT had Spotify Wrapped in this category last week. That was his Nick Hater medley, Spotify Wrapped.
Oh yeah, of course. But
a lot of Posty in there, I'm guessing.
He was number 2, I think.
Okay.
He was up there. Yeah, he was 2.
I listened to that. I had to edit it, so I don't know why I don't remember, but I don't.
The Time Person of the Year was my number 1 artist. I don't know if you want to talk about that.
Is that your Maryland Woman of the Week?
No, my
Brads and dads out there.
My Nick Hater medley. Yeah, what a bizarre, interesting that was. My Nick Hater medley is one I meant to do last week or 2 weeks ago, and I'm just going to get it out now. One of the all-time great viral moments in pro wrestling in a long time, the return of CM Punk at Survivor Series. Absolutely electric. And pro wrestling is hot as we head on the road to WrestleMania. Some tremendous stuff coming out of there. They've gotten the Vince McMahon influence out of there a little bit with the sale. And boy, they're booking a hot product right now. So for all my pro wrestling people out there, woo, we are in a great place as we head towards the best point of the wrestling season, which is Royal Rumble, onwards towards WrestleMania, which is in Philly. So I'm I'm sure there will be a lot of people from this area that go.
Is Tony Khan's feet gonna get held to the fire for this Jacksonville Jaguars embezzlement scandal?
That's a great, owner of AEW, another pro wrestling promotion for those unaware. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. And they are a very distant second now to WWE. They've kind of gotten married the last year. Yeah. Yeah. How about that? Yeah, that's crazy. Tony Khan. So that's mine. Pro wrestling
only a Calvert Hall man could segue perfectly from being condescending about Taylor Swift into pro wrestling. I just want to throw that out there.
He's a man of intellect, man of honor,
faith, man of integrity. Yep.
You're not a man, but not a man for others, though.
No. And I did on this show. I will say I did apologize for Calvert Hall losing Loyola. I just want to reiterate my accountability there.
Well, Mike Luke is pumping his fist right now listening to this. So
there's not much for me to say there. I think I run all over by that Worthington fella. He was good.
Worthington. I wonder
another.
Got to be running in those circles with you and Rubenstein, I think. Last name Worthington.
Yes. Celebrating tonight, baby.
Yep.
Another great sporting event at Johnny Unitas Stadium, Towson University, an all-time place.
Love it.
Yeah. So that's what I got. That's it. We're not doing a draft, so that's kind of those are kind of the segments. Unless anybody has a hot take to throw out there, but I feel like we got the takes off in the. You have any golf takes, Banks? You want to talk John Rahm real quick before we get out of here? That's like the story of sports today.
He took the bag. I mean, I don't know what else more to say about it. It's seems like a telltale sign that this deal by 12/31 is just not happening.
Or is it because he was saying pretty unequivocally today, I want to keep playing on the PGA Tour. I want to play on the Ryder Cup. And if there was one chip in like the whole negotiations that could be like, all right, let's just get this shit done and get these guys playing together, John Rahm would be like one of the top 2 or 3.
This feels like a bad faith move by Liv if they're looking to agree, right? Like
maybe, but it could be a sign that they're getting to that point because maybe he's just going to go over there and then they'll just figure it out and be like, all right, I'll play Liv here and then we'll schedule the weeks as they have been and they won't interfere and play PGA Tour. And like we're so early in this thing still, but I don't know. I don't know. I love John Rahm. He's one of my favorite players, but like to go from pledging your fealty, which is literally a direct quote, I pledge my fealty to the PGA Tour to this it's weird, a little weird.
I don't understand why any of these guys that are not maybe like the Rorys of the world went that hard in pledging their loyalty to anything. Like, why would you have been like, oh my God, I will, stand on the volcano and dive into the lava for the PGA Tour or live? Like, why would you do it on either side? Like, just don't talk yourself into a corner to where he can easily have just taken the bag here and then be playing on the PGA Tour in 3 months based on how this is going. Those guys just didn't do good PR. A lot of those guys just did not do good PR.
Golfers getting a little cocky. That's crazy.
Well, yeah, that's what David Fairdy did. He was like, I'm doing this shit for the money. Like, I literally don't care. And like, I think some players did that too. They're just like, yeah, let's not. Oh, Harold Varner did that. He was like, whatever. I'm just literally doing it just for the money. So more people.
Our high level pro golfers, like the king of the jungle of pro athletes.
The Rahm Norman picture hit about an hour ago. It just
incredible.
The Norman handshake photo that comes out every time somebody joins just makes me laugh.
Greg has been persona non grata. We were talking before we got going. I have not seen hide nor hair of that dude or other, extraneous body parts in a long time. And now he's back. And I don't know, like, is he going to be ousted at the end of the year? It seems like Jay Monahan is going to be on the PGA Tour side. You got Tiger releasing statements today. Just a terrible look all around. The product is just getting worse for fans, and a small group of people at the top are getting their pockets absolutely lined. So
by the way, Tiger is so clearly the commissioner of the PGA Tour right now.
I think Patrick Cantlay actually is. So maybe look.
Oh, there you go.
The Tiger tweeting about 2 hours ago, the letter that the committee or whatever sent out a week ago, as if it was a fresh new statement today. A little bizarre and a little bit like, ooh, this doesn't look good.
It's not good. Yeah. It's not good.
And 8 hours, the only thing the PGA Tour tweeted today is 8 hours ago, a Saeed Thagala clip.
What a sport. What a fucking sport, man. What a cool sport we got here. Cool professional.
And a Rose Zhang clip randomly.
Yeah. Well, they've got the Grant Thornton event this week.
Who's Rose Zhang playing with in this? Do we know?
All I know is Tony,
He's good.
Finau and Nelly are together.
I saw that.
I saw them on the dais together.
The PGA Tour Twitter referred to them as Team Finelli.
We got to get you in there, man. We gotta get somebody with some real acumen to spice that thing up. That has been a decade coming. Somebody's got to get in there and mix things up behind the moat because the PGA Tour Twitter, not great. And they have
The
a moat.
funny part is when Liv started, I was like, oh, they're gonna like ramp it. They must know the hardcore golf fans' concerns with like the PGA Tour social and their presence, everything. And then the Live Golf social is sort of just like kind of blah.
It's a worse version of it. It's just a watered down.
It's so bizarre.
Yeah.
I thought they were gonna be like super edgy and make it interesting, and they just didn't do anything. They're just like bad hype videos and like it's very standard. So
all of this is just conversations in a conference room between 45-year-olds that don't know what they're talking about. And
Probably
it's
true.
literally what this entire professional sport has devolved into for the last 2 years. It was already going there, but
45 is not the number, by the way. That's a bad number.
51. You're right.
68.
That's too old.
do we? And the only thing
You're
do
right.
we think the Orioles sign anyone to a 4+ year deal in the free agency window here?
No.
Not 4. No, I think they'll make a bigger signing though than Kimbrel.
Yeah.
Already,
Four's
who's
a
the
long-
name?
Over 4 is a long time.
Who's
It's
the
not
name?
gonna be. It's not Eduardo Rodriguez. We know that.
No, it's not.
Yeah, that was kind of the one I was monitoring. Shohei Ohtani. I'll just throw that out there. I think that.
I
So
don't
he
know.
just goes to a Zoomy every single night.
Maybe. He probably wants some American.
Baltimore's like the worst. I feel like a very terrible Japanese culture city. Like the
What
worst.
makes you say that?
What is? Well, there's nothing here.
Yeah.
There's nothing here.
Little sarcasm there.
All right.
You have 10
I'm
feet
watching.
to
I'm
break.
watching Mitch the dog Trubisky right now as well.
All right.
What a bad game.
Yeah. Any more segments to plow through here? Anything else we got?
No, that's it. Unless Banks got a dead or alive, which we haven't done in about 4 months.
Julie Andrews.
Ooh,
Dead.
dead.
Alive. I'll go against the grain.
Speaking of having one in the chamber, I'm gonna go with alive.
Dead.
Dead.
I think
Dead. Definitely dead. Definitely dead.
It's
She
close.
is alive.
Fuck.
Oh,
Yeah.
88.
She's 88.
Why do
Fuck,
I
I
feel
Oh,
shouldn't
she's
have waffled.
involved with The Sound of Music, passed away recently, and that was what was in my head. I guess
She's
not.
a Dane. She's Dame Julie Andrews. Good for
Yeah.
her.
She's dead to
Yeah.
me. So
Oh my gosh.
Come on.
Wow.
Boo.
Was she in the Crown in one of these more recent seasons? Maybe not.
She was in The Crown?
Was she? I'm asking. I'm trying to look it up right now.
Oh, she's the voice of Lady Whistledown in Bridgerton. I forgot about that.
no,
Her
of course.
Wikipedia picture of her in 2013. I mean, age 78.
So
RDT?
her, but not Jana Kramer.
I mean, I just don't. I don't get it about
Okay,
Jenna Kramer.
okay.
I just,
Okay.
I
We
don't
could
get
play
what
a
all the
game,
fuss
but
is about.
We could play a game involving her, Jana Kramer, and Dolly Parton. What do you think? That could be
We're
our last-
devolving. Oh, we're devolving. We're devolving.
Something worth discussing. I get it with Dolly. Like, there's some substance there. There's something to bite off.
There's a
Jenna
thread.
Kramer, I don't know.
She got a great ass.
Oh,
yeah, I mean, end the show.
the man with the mustache sitting in the corner for the last 22 minutes.
88-year-old would.
Turns out he's got some tape.
That reminds me of the time I was at a party and we were watching college basketball and something happened. And like this guy that we didn't really know was on the couch, like a couple seats over, and like looked at us and was like, Pat Summitt, I would. And we were like, what the fuck are you talking about?
That's a bags of sand moment right there.
It was wild. I think it was like, maybe it was on like the ESPN crawl where it was like, oh, she had just been like diagnosed with dementia. And he's like, I would. We were like,
Someone
all right.
needs. I mean, these are questions for Stephen A. These are questions for our guy Stephen A.
Yeah, don't get that guy in a Loyola Chicago watch party because God knows.
That'll
Oh,
do it.
gosh.
That'll do it for the episode today. Once the Stephen A. talk starts.
All right. Well, we
No,
appreciate
Stephen
you
A's
all.
on a heater. Wait a minute. Stephen A is on an absolute heater. And RDT, your hate for this guy is so bad.
You know what's funny
So
about that clip that you put in the group chat of Stephen A talking about eating ass is that it goes around. It's like a decade old at this point. It goes around every couple of years. I remember Deadspin like put it out like 5 years ago that like it caught traction maybe 3
But
years
he
ago.
had one today about
Of course he had one.
he was like defining whether you like natural or fake, and then he was like going through what it was like to be a heart. He's just ridiculous. This guy is like, between him and McAfee, who are now the two biggest personalities in ESPN, they must say so many things that the Disney executives are like, oh my god. But you can't get rid of them because they essentially carry the entire day of programming for the entire.
Well, I
network.
know Eric loved the Cars debate that went on Stephen A's. I don't know if that was on ESPN or Mad Dog Radio or what, but that was electric radio. Definitely not pre-planned.
No, not at all. All authentic. So authentic. Did you guys see RG3 jump into the pool in his suit? He's so fucking zany. He's
Yeah,
wild.
You
That's our
hate that guy.
That's our guy.
Crazy, man. That's
Ravens
nuts.
legend.
All right. To end the show, end the show. I'm not having a debate on why RG3 is authentically zany with Eric right now.
We'll continue
So
listening to chat.
zany and
Take
like
this off,
off the wall.
Let's not pretend like RG3's horniness for his wife isn't fucking zany, Eric. Let's not pretend like that's not hilarious.
He's so just like crazy.
Which, by the way,
like,
Spenny and I saw her up close, very pregnant at Ravens camp like 4 years ago.
Greta?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, Greta.
I can never say it like PFT does.
Grit is one. Grit is the other one. Grit Sadico. Okay, is that all we got?
That's all we got.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for indulging us there in that last 10 minutes that went completely off the rails. I think we went from golf to Dolly Parton to Dame Julie Andrews to Cars to Stephen A. Smith eating ass. Much appreciated. Hope you guys enjoyed talking a little Orioles. Good to get an Orioles deep dive in here in December. Thank you very much to our guy Rubenstein for that. And we'll have plenty more on that, I'm sure, as this continues to develop. I think that was just kind of the first domino to fall here in what is going to be hopefully a long process of the team being sold to him. So stay tuned for all of that. Stay tuned for more Ravens talk. If you're listening to this right now or watching it, you can flip over to our video/podcast that we did on the Rams game that's coming up. Spenny and I sat down, did a nice beefy preview of that. So tune on into it if you want to get your Ravens fix. Thank you guys as always for listening and watching on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're not already. Like these videos, throw a comment in there, get that algorithm pumping for us. It all helps. You can find us on social media at Exit 52 Podcast. That is on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all of them. I am at Jake Luke. That's LOUQUE. Taylor is at Taylor Smythe 10. Spenny is at Ravens 4 Dummies. That is the number 4 in the middle there. Brian at Barstool Banks. And Eric Rubenstein is at EDITTI22. Exciting times in Birdland indeed. And we will talk to you guys again on Sunday night.
See ya.
Arrivederci.